Okay. What I want to do. Double click on that one again, just see if this. Yeah, because that's opening up. Allow. Amazing.
You're about to join and hang out on air. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so that'll bring you in.
And that does a offline recording, am I correct?
Yeah, so I want to turn off my both of those things. And then
You just have feedback.
Then you want to do, this is hilarious, this is going to be at the start of the video.
I think that's a screen I want to share. Yeah. Yeah, should be fine.
Cool.
I'm gonna try to do a full screen. Let's check if it doesn't actually.
Yeah, it'll just.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I thought it's accept it weird when you like go on presentation mode.
Yeah, no, it should be sweet. So you should be able to do like if you've got any code or live demo or anything like that, you should be able to switch into Git or whatever and work from there. Cool, man. It's so exciting. I never thought it would work.
Oh god, this is. I'm never ready.
You've never done a speech before?
I've done a couple of but never this crowd. It's usually just internal stuff. Do I need to mute? Do I need to disable my mic?
I've turned off my mic, but you want to keep your mic on, but maybe just turn the volume on yours down. So just leave everything. And I should have had my volume down too. That'll be fine now.
Okay.
Perfect. Just remember, everyone's just here to talk to you.
Yep.
No, not. It's not like super scary.
They're not out there to bite me.
Oh, this is super exciting.
Yeah.
I'll just send out an email to everyone that it's being live streamed. Just go viral. 1 million people are watching you. I'm just kidding. I don't want to scare you. It's not.
30 minutes should be fine, eh?
Yeah.
30 to 40 minutes should be fine.
30 to 40 minutes is sort of what you should aim for. And then there'll be heaps of questions. So, well, hopefully there'll be heaps of questions. But even if there isn't, it doesn't matter.
There's nothing when you're presenting. You think like it's just gonna last 15 minutes, but with all the like stuff going on in between, it actually reaches until 40 minutes to 1 hour.
Yeah, and there's nothing like you'll change between ways to present and things, and yeah, everything's different. No, I don't. I actually work for Bulletproof, which is the company which sort of it's a partner company of Amazon, so we're start consulting. Really.
They're really expanding in Sydney, because they were very aggressive in recruiting a couple of months ago.
Yeah. Our DevOps capabilities are going up at the moment because we've sort of redefined ourselves around that. We've got a lot of billing clients, so what we really aim to do is support them. And everyone's sort of moved to DevOps, and now we're moved to DevOps to sort of offer that. So the ability to like continuously sort of upgrade people's backends is sort of like there's a much bigger demand for that now. So that's sort of what we're trying to provide. Yeah, it's not super interesting. It's a little boring, but it's fun. Look at all your gifts. You've got photos and.
Yeah, just pretty corny stuff. This goes well. Might try another talk in the future. Otherwise, you can just blacklist me.
No, man, we'll never blacklist you. Don't worry. Don't worry at all. It's really terrible talk. You wouldn't even be close. Even if you did the worst talk you could imagine, you still wouldn't be done. So you just think you'll never get blacklisted. So I'm going to grab some more pizza, but we'll kick off in probably like 10 to 5, 10 past 6. No, probably not 6 more than that. Just because some people run late and then they come in.
I'm so sorry. She's having a minute. She's thinking it's fine. Yeah, one of those. You just like someone in his 50s, not in his 70s. The way he walks back, people like him should be walking as if me witnessing a walk through that. He's crap.
I could use this. I didn't know. It's a good logo. How do you like Figure at the moment? It's good. Yeah. Oh, cool. Where did you go from? You moved from. Okay, cool. So that was more with the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Like I enjoy my statements.
Yeah.
My time here.
Totally. No, the biggest fair. One's like I said, product ones. You're building products for other people. And yeah.
All right. Lots of tests.
It's actually just off K Road. House Street, so it's, yeah, and get some pretty interesting characters wandering past it. Okay. Craig works at Bulletproof with me.
Hey.
So text like, is there a demo in this?
Oh yeah.
It's the shortest presentation ever.
The front of it is in the wiki on the wiki.
Okay.
So yeah, just slides for
We're actually live broadcasting.
Not yet.
No, it is. No, the live broadcast is working now, so like it's catching all of our conversations.
easy with what you say.
Oh, everyone on the meetup's got it. Well, we could always do this. Sorry, I'm gonna touch your computer. we're good to go. So thank you very much for coming. Cheers, and thank you, JP.
Thanks for coming, everyone. So this talk is going to be about, as seen here, is interfacing with the AWS, interfacing with the AWS API using the PHP SDK. So it's intended mainly for PHP developers, but everyone who has interest in other programming languages can just really dive in because it's pretty much all the same. The basic concept of like interfacing with the API. Cool. Let's get started. So about me first, I am a product developer for Figured, a cloud-based farm financial management software company disrupting the agriculture industry. So we're headquartered at Victoria Street West, Auckland. So we leverage AWS as part of our development tool chain to offload complexity into the cloud. So we're doing a lot of things on the cloud. We don't really like hardware that much. On-site hardware. We prefer doing things on the cloud because cost efficiency and all that. So this in turn makes us focus on building new features, leading to happy developers and a rapidly evolving product. So it's power to the developers basically if you offload to the cloud. So what's PHP? I think all of you know the answer to that question. PHP is a scripting language mainly used for developing web applications. The latest iteration of PHP is PHP 7. Previously, PHP developers were always made fun of because but PHP 7 is here. For this demo, we'll be using a Laravel boilerplate. I actually posted on a Meetup group the link to the GitHub repo if you want to follow at your leisure at home if you want to replicate what I've done here. Cool. Cool. So what is a PHP SDK? So first things first, what is an SDK? So a PHP SDK allows you to interface. Sorry, I may have gotten ahead of myself. So what is an SDK? How is it different from an API? I think that's a question that we need to clarify this early on. So to clear the confusion, an API is an interface that allows software programs to interact with each other. Consider this as the raw implementation. So whereas an SDK is a set of tools that can be used to develop software applications targeting a specific platform. Consider this as the abstracted, easy to use, but targeted to a specific platform implementation. Like for example, if you want to connect to the API, what tool? You can actually connect to the API using just shell scripts and all that, but you want something that's tailor-made for PHP, right? So that's why you use an SDK. So an SDK basically makes it easy for you. It wraps around a lot of commands that connect to the API and get responses. So it's an abstraction, basically. Any questions about an SDK? Oh. So what's a PHP SDK? PHP SDK allows you to interface with the Amazon API using PHP. Based on what I said earlier. It does the heavy lifting for you. As the name implies, the PHP SDK only works with PHP. It doesn't work with Java, JavaScript, nor C. These are dedicated. There are dedicated SDKs for those. Luckily for you, if you're developing in another language, like for example, JavaScript, there's an official SDK that Amazon provides for you. So you're covered. So how about the cost of using AWS? So new AWS users are automatically enrolled to the free tier program, meaning it costs nothing or close to nothing to use eligible AWS services. I think a lot of developers can attest to this, but we are mostly cheapskates. We want to pay close to nothing to get the services that we want. And fortunately for you, you can just own the free tier. Yeah. So there's a link here, and you can just probably Google it just to know the benefits of creating an AWS account. If you don't have an AWS account, create one now. You just need to link your credit card and just read up on the things that are included on free tier, and you should not get charged anything at the end of the billing cycle. Okay, TLDR, cheapskates will love AWS. So how do I benefit from using AWS? Self-enrichment, if you want to learn new stuff. Career progression, if you're trying to move your way up to a career, because these days most jobs require you to have an understanding of the cloud. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. AWS, you're in a good position to get a job. you know how to interact with it. And of course, side projects, because developers like to experiment. It's not really just for money, just for careers, because you want to try out new stuff. And AWS has a lot of services that you can just like experiment with. You can tie in together, and that's a good thing about AWS. And like I said, with the free tier, it's costs close to nothing just to try it out. Cool. So let's actually do a demo. So this is the repo that I'll be working with. And yeah, let's go for it. First, I created a wiki for you guys so you can follow through. It's basically a regurgitation of what I've said in this demo. So let's just increase the font size. Oh yeah, so this repo assumes that you have some intermediate experience with PHP and basic understanding of how APIs work. It assumes that you've communicated with an API before, like a Twitter API, or actually you don't really need to know much about APIs, but really you need to know something about APIs. And I have a note about security credentials before we begin with the demo. So AWS discourages using your root credentials. Instead, it promotes limiting who can access resources and what resources can be accessed by issuing granular permissions attached to individual credentials. So basically, when you're trying out this demo or for any other project that you work with, don't use your root credentials. Use like granular ones that you can just generate on the fly with the IAM page. So yeah, for this demo, we'll be using credentials limited to only the services that we'll be using. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a good start. So I'm going to actually show later that we'll only be using this S3 Elastic Container Recognition. By all means, this is not perfect because we actually want some more granularity in that, but that's up to you. We'll just go with the basics for this one. But yeah, don't use your root credentials, please. Cool. So yeah, and also for this demo, we'll be using these three services. They're not by any stretch like very comprehensive, but they give you an idea of how AWS makes your life easier. We'll start off with a basic one, S3, and then Recognition for image analysis, and then Elastic Transcoder for video compression transcoding. Oh, all right. Yeah, this is just a regurgitation of what I said earlier. Yeah. Oh, also, you might be wondering why I'm using Laravel. It's because Laravel is a PHP framework. If you haven't heard of it, Laravel is like this abstraction on top of PHP that allows you to create applications rapidly because it has batteries included. So it does a lot of the the hard stuff for you. You can try out the PHP SDk with vanilla PHP, but if you're trying out something new, why not just use a framework, right? Cool. All right. There we go with our introduction. So first things first, we go to our first demo would be for S3, Amazon S3. So here's the guide doc. So for those who don't know yet, Amazon S3 is basically AWS's file storage mechanism. S3 stores data as objects within resources called buckets. You can store as many objects as you want within a bucket, and write, read, and delete objects in your bucket, basically a file system. Objects can be up to 5 terabytes in size. You can control access to the bucket. You can create, delete, and retrieve objects in the bucket, for example. You access logs, and yeah, basically file storage on steroids. So for this demo, Laravel introduces the concept of environment variables. So that's why I advise people, if they want to try this out, you're better off using a boilerplate like this repo. So you'll need a bucket name and a region. But before those, we actually need to get credentials. So let's create credentials for this particular demo. Let's go to AWS on into the console. So here's the thing: if you haven't tried AWS yet, it's like when you look at the AWS page, it's just like an assault on the senses. But once you get used to it, it's pretty much all right. It's pretty much smooth sailing. Just type in. So first things first, like I said earlier, we go to identity management. We create credentials for this project. Let's go to IAM. And then we create a user. And we add a user. Let's delete this one. Want that one. Start something from scratch. Cool. Let's add a user. Let's name the user Laravel AWS demo. And let's use programmatic access. Basically, programmatic access gives you like an access ID and a secret key that you can just put in on your Laravel application to like authenticate with AWS. And then let's go to permissions next. And then based on the services that we'll be using, we'll be searching for relevant. I want to start from a blank slate, so I won't be attaching this user to a group. So let's go attach existing policies. So let's search for S3. Let's use full access. The scary thing about this, when you use S3 full access, is that it has access to all your buckets. So you might want to try to make it more granular, but for this one, it's safe. You just use full access. And then what else do we need? We need Elastic Transcoder. Access. And also recognition. So we've ticked all three checkboxes, and you have this. So we create the user, and we get these are the credentials that we'll be putting in on our environment file for the demo. So we copy this. And we also use this. Do that. And that. And then save. Something. Yep, it came with a plus Q. Cool. So we have those credentials stored now, so we can actually start testing. But before that, we want to actually save the configuration. So we're going to be issuing this command, PHP artisan. This is Laravel specific. This is not PHP specific. Cool. Config clear. And then, so like I said, we have a repo that that the source code of this repo is basically a boilerplate, just for the sake of this demo. Anyone in favor of like me showing you the source code, or do you want to discover that for yourselves? Can I get a hands up? You want me to discuss the source? Okay, we might as well. It's just So this is basically a Laravel application, and then I put in a few things that make it connect to the AWS PHP SDK. So you have here providers, and this is essentially the meat of the connection that we have. So we're using an S3 service, a recognition service, and then here. You have these configuration files. Those are from the environment file that we created earlier. So it picks those up. Pretty much stuff. All right. So the first service that we'll be trying out is S3. I know you guys are bored, so let's just use Postman now and then just start messing around the API. Let's go to the demo, security credentials. Let's go back to the wiki, and let's go to S3. And yeah, we've done this. Okay. We haven't, I've already created a bucket. So that bucket might be any AWS region, because AWS by default gives you a selection of regions. But the thing about S3 is it covers all regions. So let's use the bucket that we created. I mentioned earlier that buckets are basically the containers of the media that you upload. And let's go to S3. And as you can see here, I already created a bucket. It's easy to create a bucket. You just click that plus button right there and then just set up some stuff. It's all very intuitive. That's a good thing about Amazon. Over the years, they gave a lot of stuff intuitive, so you can just do that by yourself. So let's use this. The name of this bucket, it's actually Laravel AWS demo S3. Cool. And then we go back to our end file. So the S3 bucket name is Laravel AWS demo S3, and then the region is US West 1. So we put those there, and then we here the config again. Cool. All right. And then, so we've set up our credentials and we've set up our bucket. Now it's time to start testing. Let's use Postman. Postman is an API client. It basically allows you to interface with the API endpoints that you've created. And then for this demo, I've exposed a couple of like URLs that allow you to communicate with S3. So I created one named, sorry if it's a bit too tiny, it's AWS S3 upload. This is only specific to this repo. And then it expects a couple of parameters. It expects a file name and the actual file. So if we try to send payload or data to this endpoint, it's gonna give you an error. Painful is required, and this is Laravel specific. This is not AWS. And let's actually try our first upload now. So let's tick that box again. Then let's tick the file. And the good thing about Postman is it allows you to upload blobs as well. So blobs are like the files that you try to upload to Facebook or whatever. Let's choose a file, and then okay, this one. It's too cheesy, but I will use this. Try to upload that. And what I did behind the scenes is, so we're using an SDK, right? But you still wrap around the SDK to make things easier, because the SDK is you still need to work around with the SDK just to like connect to S3. So you're putting an abstraction on top of the abstraction, and that's what the repo is for. Cool. So we try to upload that now. Might take a while, and this is the response that AWS gives you. So this is basically a raw response of. This is basically the API just responding to our request. So it just basically uploaded the file onto the S3 bucket. And it gives you this URL, JPEG. And then if you try to upload this, this, it will show you the same file that we uploaded is now available on the bucket. Okay, it's here. Cool. And then how do we verify if the file has actually been uploaded? Where's my cursor? Okay. We go back to the bucket. We go back to S3. We check that bucket out. So it's the same file. So our upload was a success. Oh my goodness. Cool. Let's go through that again. So we uploaded a file. You might be wondering, why is there a timestamp prefix? It's a good practice when you're uploading to S3 to prefix your file names with timestamps, with dates, so they can be sharded, they can be categorized easily. It's a good way of sorting your files, because time will come where you want to like download it based on a particular pattern, and you might not rely on your the file names that you've used. You might want to try using timestamps as prefixes. So yeah, that was S3 in action. Yeah, anticlimactic, right? But yeah, it still worked. So cool. Download the repo or start, right? Okay. Start. I love stars. Okay. Now that you've seen S3 work, let's now move on to recognition. This is where it gets a bit interesting. I can't see my cursor. All right, let's go to the wiki page for recognition. So just to give you an idea of what recognition is, Amazon Recognition is a service that makes it easy to add image analysis to your applications. Pretty awesome, man. With Recognition, you can detect objects, scenes, faces, recognize celebrities, and identify inappropriate content in images. You can also search and compare faces. Recognition's API enables you to quickly add sophisticated deep learning spiel. Cool. Now, we try out recognition. And before we get started, we need to specify which region recognition we'll be using. And for this one, I've already pre-populated this on our end file. We'll be using US West 2. That's, recognition is not available in all regions. I think it's only available on a couple like US-based ones. I'm not sure if it's available in Sydney already, but yeah. And then we try that out with Postman now. So this is the endpoint for recognition. It's all listed on a repo. I don't need to reiterate it here, but it's AWS recognition. Recognize celebrities. So for this demo, what we'll be doing is that we upload an image and it will recognize the celebrities in that image. It's pretty neat. I'll show you some use cases for it later. So we go to the body, and we have just specify file name, same validation as before. We choose a file. I've been looking at the wrong folder. So let's go to desktop. Oh. AWS demo. So for this one, we'll be uploading this picture of friends. So those celebrities should be recognizable. Pretty sure I don't want your watch fence at some point. Cool. Then we open this file, and then we send it to recognition's endpoint. Took a while. So as expected, it returned images that it could analyze. So you got there Lisa Kudrow, David Schwimmer. I don't know Jesse Wallace. He might look. It's not perfect by any means, but it's still a good, good way of like recognizing celebrities. Cool. And who else do we have? These are pretty much just some metadata. So recognition is by no means perfect, but it does the job on a few fronts. So let me show you some use cases for it. That's what we did. So what would be the practical use case for recognition? So one example for this would be if you run a multi-tenant application and don't want people uploading anime avatars, on their profile page, preferring that they upload their actual human faces, recognition would be a good middleware to include in a validation process. So this would make sense if you're running social media platform or like a community group.
Hey, JP, we've actually got a good use case for recognition. One of our clients is Movember, the Men's Health charity. I'm actually freshly shaved this month, so I can grow my mo. And we're actually running a campaign for Movember called Who's Your Molibrity? And we're using recognition to basically, you upload your photo of how horrible your moustache is, and it'll actually search an AWS provided image catalog of all of these celebrities and come up with the picture that you're most likely to represent. And the whole idea of the campaign is to drive awareness of Movember and to help with fundraising. But it's quite a cool use of some of this new technology.
There's so much you can do. Like, for example, if you, for that Movember app, everyone might match with Jake Gyllenhaal. Cool, yeah. So that's one use case that you probably haven't thought of off the top of your heads, right? But yeah, everything's possible with recognition. In addition as well, you might be running an under 18 website and want to police users who are attempting to upload graphic images. Recognition might come in handy. You might laugh at this in New Zealand, but in the US, this is actually a pretty big deal if you watch that episode of Silicon Valley. So yeah, it comes in pretty handy, just like for fun, for validation. You see all these Facebook apps, who's the celebrity I look like. So, cool. So that's recognition for you. There's a lot more you can do with it. You can, it's not only for celebrities. Let's go back to the product page. So, facial analysis, it knows, it knows objects in the room. It knows if the image that you uploaded corresponds to an actual human face. Face completion, celebrity recognition, David Ortiz. What I said, image moderation. So image user verification. I'm not sure how good it is at that, but might as well try for hobby projects. So yeah, that's recognition.
You have to train it. You have to load.
I'm not sure how. I think it's Amazon that does the training. You can't really program unless you do some sort of like a layer on top of recognition. Because from the endpoints that I saw, I only saw upload. I didn't actually see the part where you have to like train it. Maybe from the metadata that it releases, you can like do some sort of stuff magic there, and then you can train it. But as far as raw implementation goes, I think it only allows you to upload, and then there's no other.
Right. So the Fred's image, you didn't have to train it.
No, it always returns the same thing. Yeah. So I think if people upload more diverse, different images, I think it can come to it could train itself to like correlate all those. Like for example, if you keep on uploading pictures of Matt LeBlanc, maybe even from a distorted image, it can figure out that it's not LeBlanc. Cool. So that's recognition. Let's now go to the most convoluted one and the last one in the demo, which is Elastic Transcoder. So Elastic Transcoder is media transcoding in the to be highly scalable, easy to use, and cost-effective for developers and businesses to convert or transcode media files from their source format into versions that will play back on devices like smartphones, tablets, and PCs. Because this is a convoluted example, I'm just going to show you the use case before we actually go on to the demo so that you don't get confused. So this is the biggest question. For what reason will you be using Elastic Transcoder? So it comes down to scalability, concurrency, and ease of use. Suppose you are developing a high-traffic e-learning application, like, for example, an e-learning site for the University of Auckland or whatever. On spurts, you get hundreds of students who, all at the same time, upload their assessment submissions in the form of video files. Like, for example, their teacher wanted them to do a recording of themselves discussing something, teachers. Thing is, they have neither time nor patience, and might I say as well the intuition to know what like file size, compression, file formats are, because we can assume that there might be grade schoolers or high schoolers. They don't care about that stuff. They just want to upload their assessment. They just want to upload straight from their phones. A bunch of them upload uncompressed videos in varying formats and containers. Some of them upload MP4, AVI, MKV. What's even startling with this is that some of these 20-second videos reach up to 500 megabytes because these were recorded in 4K. For example, they use the latest version of iPhone. Your server does not have that much local storage, and you shouldn't be storing that much storage in your local server to begin with, unless your product is basically like a media hosting service. So the solution to this is Elastic Transcoder. With ET, you only pay for the services that you use. AWS does a convoluted process of transcoding the files into a common container format. Like, for example, if they upload, like everyone uploads in a different format, AVI, MKV, MP4, but you want to specify the format to be just MP4. Transcode ET does this for you. It also compresses them to a reasonable file size. Like if they uploaded a 500 MB file, the output would just be 5 megabyte file. And storing files in the cloud via S3. That's why it's a bit more complex to set up with compared to other services, because you have to like specify input buckets, output buckets, notification services, but all of that when you're used to setting up all of that, it's just like easy peasy. All right. So now let's go on to the demo. So let's go to the environment variable first. So first of all, we have the ET region. So ideally, when you're using Transcoder, all of the services linked to it, ideally they should be in the same region to prevent latency, to prevent like delays, and delays means cost. Of course, you can try this out with your feature, but what if you push it to a production application? You don't want those costs creeping up on your bill. You create a pipeline ID. This is very specific to Elastic Transcoder. So this is the name of the pipeline. Basically, a pipeline is the coagulation of this stream. So you specify a bucket in. This is where your uploaded files get stored into. And then you specify a bucket out. So once Elastic Transcoder is done transcoding and compressing the files, it spews them out into this bucket. And then you also have a bucket for thumbnails. But the most important one are these two, the bucket in and the bucket out. So especially the bucket out, because where else would you get transcoded files, right? Cool. And now I've done the part of setting these up, but I'll take you through the pipeline setup first. Let's go to AWS. Let's go to the console again. And let's go to Elastic Transcoder, the same name of the service. Okay, so let's check the pipeline. So this pipeline has already been pre-built for you. I edit it. So as you can see here, I put an output, thumbnail, the buckets, the thumbnails, and one other thing that I'll be demoing a bit soon is notifications. So here's the thing about transcoder. So if you upload a 1 GB file, you don't expect it to be transcoded in like 2 seconds. And people, when they submit to forms, they don't want to wait that long, right? You want to do this asynchronously. So you basically want to get notified when the transcoding job has been done and then do some action on it, like, for example, saving it locally or notifying the user via WebSockets that, you know, hey, your file is done. Similar to what you do with Facebook. Like if you upload a video on Facebook, like for example, if you upload a 1 GB video, it doesn't like instantly tell you, hey, your video is done transcoding. It tells you to, hey, check back soon, or we'll notify you when your video is done, and then you can view it. That's basically what we are doing here. We are setting up subscribers using SNS. SNS is Amazon's, AWS is like a notification service. You know, it can send webhooks. Webhooks are like, you know, notifications which contain the status of the transcoding job, and then you can just do whatever you want with it. So we've set up these things, so it will notify us when the file is progressing, when it's been when it has completed, and when there's an error. And let's actually try that out now. For that, okay, keep telling me that this is the convoluted part of it. So we'll be here's the thing with the app that we're developing. It's local. How the heck is Amazon able to like notify us when the transcoding job is complete? And then that's the time where you use a service like ngrok. Ngrok is a great tool for tunneling your local application onto the public internet. Ngrok is free. You can try it out. You actually have to try it out because unless you're like doing this experiment on a public IP, you won't be able to get like notifications. So there's on the repo, there's instructions on how to like install and run ngrok. But basically, what this command will do is it will expose our app. Before that, we actually go to repos and we run a web server. And this is Laravel specific. That's why I use Laravel, because if I've been doing this on PHP, it would take us a long time to get a point across. So we serve the application using PHP's built-in web server. So that is port 8000. We're on the same directory. And then we tunnel through that. All right, so what it did right now, and you can test it out for yourself, you can visit this URL right now, is it tunneled our local application and then made it a public application. We can try that out here. I cannot see my cursor for the life of me. You are encouraged to try this out for yourselves. Here's the URL. So our application is now public, and we can now send notifications to it. And we need to set up the subscribers. So we've set up these notification channels. We just need to let them send notifications to that URL that we just exposed right here. Oh, let's copy that. And let's go to SNS. Simple notification service. And then these are the ones that we set up earlier. We copy the ARN, it's like a unique identifier for these topics. We copy subscriptions, and we set up a subscription. We're actually going to fast forward and not include errors. We're just going to include completion and progressing. So it's not going to, what I'm going to be doing is it's not going to set up a feed if the file error is out, but I'm pretty sure that it will like transcode properly. So let's go with that. Copy this ARN. And just copy link address. Protocol link. That's for completed, and let's create a subscription. Just going to use HTTPS. This is the ARN. Okay. Oh, HTTPS. And the endpoint is, let me just pull that out from Postman. Oh, wait, I exposed it. Wow. Let's open a new tab. This is a Laravel command. It gives you the URLs that we created. So we set up a subscriber. I've set up a subscriber URL in the demo. I don't know where my cursor is. And we just append this to the URL. Yep, it's giving you this error because it expects post request, not get requests. Copy paste that here. Subscriber, yep. And create a subscription. And then we just verify that. This is just a pain, but when it works, which is something that's good. And then we refresh. Oh, yep. Oh, wait. Confirm. Also, it's been confirmed. So we're now done with that part. Let's just now go on this topic for progressing. Copy that ARN, rinse and repeat, and then we're done with the boring part. Create a subscription. HTTPS. And copy this again. Cool. Subscription, verify that subscription. All right. So, cool. So we've already set those up. It's now ready to send notifications once a video has been transcoded, and then I'm now going to tail the logs. Basically, listen to the logs if Amazon sends something to us, and because this is exposed to the public web, we'll get a notification. And these are the subscriptions sent earlier. Okay. And we now go back to Postman. And then we upload this file right here. So this is a 25 MB file. We want to compress it to 320 to a smaller aspect ratio. And then we use a transcoder to do that for us. We send that. Must be an image. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm on the wrong endpoint. I must have not saved what I did earlier. Cool. AWS ET transcode. And sorry, guys, I did not save that earlier. So we send a push request there, and we listen to the logs. If it actually sends something. Quite a big file, eh? Oh. So we're now getting webhooks from Amazon itself telling us that the video is currently progressing. It should send us, yep, so it's been transcoded. That's awesome, eh? Cool, so this is the aspect ratio that we were trying to get. Obviously, with the lower aspect ratio, we get a smaller file size. Let's now go to the bucket where it's spewed out, that transcoded video, S3. Go to output. Cool. And this is the video. It's like 1.1 MB right now. That's a big reduction in file size. Obviously, a loss in quality, but it serves its purpose. I could have uploaded a bigger file, and it would have taken just seconds for it to transcode to a smaller file. So see, the use case for this is that if you have like 100 people uploading files all at the same time, and your server is not up to spec to like handle those transcoding jobs, better to upload a transcoder and then just like let it just do stuff on the fly for you. Cool. And that's transcoder. Sorry, I haven't told you that I'm done. Oh. So, any questions? That's not gonna move. Any questions?
Do you use PHP in your current role?
We do web figure. Yeah, we do web figure. Yeah. More questions? All right. Oh. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. So thank you very much, JP, for doing that. Amazing. It was really enlightening. Let's get going. Next month we've got the AWS Christmas Meetup coming up. So that is to define who is the best AWS user in New Zealand. So if you want to try and compete with some of the best users, do come. Also, if you're doing like a certification anytime soon, or you're studying certification, it's really useful for that as well, because I practically steal questions out of the exams. So so it will help you get better at that as well. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to just stretch your mental skills. We have a whole bunch of hats to give away, which is sponsored by AWS, and we also have surprises as well, which we're just confirming. But yeah, so it's going to be a really fun time. Yep, once again, thanks to Bulletproof for putting this on, and yeah, grab some more pizza, grab some more beers. Thank you once again, JP.
Just one note. Figured is hiring. If you are a software developer, please go to our careers page. We're expanding and we're on the lookout for very good PHP talent, like drop by figured.com. Good domain name, man.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, good guys.
That was fun.
You might want to cancel the stream. Just click on that. It should.
It's slow away.
It's really slow.
Maybe. Oh, I'm not sure if it's because of that. I'm just gonna close this off.